who are poor, it is very clear that they are poor because they earn below 700 naira a day and live on it. What therefore needs to happen is that this majority of Nigerians, over 50% of them, would need to improve their productivity. When people have higher productivity, they earn more. When they earn more, they lift themselves out of poverty. What are the ways of enhancing their productivity? Take a typical member of the Farmers Club in Nigeria. They actually constitute 1/3 of our workforce. And 60% of them are women. When you give impulse to women, they outperform even their male counterparts by as much as 40% in output. But that essentially means that women will be lifted out of poverty enormously. The structure of our economy is such that services constitute 60% of it. The services is not high-end services. It is low productivity services. And so our focus would be on removing the barriers that stand in the way of these operators in the services sector. That would include improvement in policies that target the people in those sectors. It would include removing regulatory barriers that stand in the way of formalization. It would include prioritizing the investments that give public utility for their use.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. I'm going to turn...
Thank you very much. We're going to do that, first of all, by going into a program of recruitment and training and skills in our security sector that will reabsorb a lot of people away from the normal public service, people who are still young, to the police force. We intend to recruit 1.5 million new policemen and women over 4 years. That's one. Number two, we're going to have to retrain and rationalize the federal public service. How do we do this? It's not by kicking people out into the streets or just sacking civil servants. No. It is by having a program that is very clear in terms of helping them to move into more productive engagements in the private sector and retraining those who remain in the civil service to become much more productive.
That sounds like it's going to take a long time.
No, it won't. No, it won't. 2 years will bring the cost of recurrent expenditure down to 50%. What it requires is political will and the ability to do what needs to be done. That's what needs to be done. Our politicians have carried this expenditure because they want to be quote-unquote popular. They don't want to do the right thing.
Okay, as you were speaking, I looked over to my right and I saw Dr. Obi, a look go across her face. I mean,
I would be starting on a good place because the famous Steve Orosaye report that looked into the rationalization of the bureaucracy has made very specific recommendations on the things to do. Some of the existing institutions and bureaucracies or agencies within our bureaucracy actually have no purpose that they serve. And so they have become conduits for bleeding the public treasury. When you deal with those, you're not dealing with a Nigerian who must be catered for. It is illegality that has taken hold, and so you deal with illegality by ending it. Number two is that if you looked at the productivity of our bureaucracy, it doesn't matter that we should find the most competent and put them in leadership position. Today, that is distorted. Most of our bureaucracy ends up being warped in its arrangement. Productivity is not rewarded. It's the lack of it that gets recognized. We will switch that. In doing that, it becomes very clear and evident that any decision you're making on reducing the cost of governance is based on analysis, not merely wanting to get people out. The third thing is that the private sector must lead the economy. Many of the people who are in our public sector, if they found better opportunities in the private sector, they would take it. Most of the employment in our public sector was done by government as a way of pretending that jobs were being created. It's the private sector that creates sustainable jobs, and we will stay with that capacity by doing the right policies to encourage them.
Fela Durotoye.
Well, thank you, Mark. And this is very clear that people are willing to pay taxes when they get value for the taxes that they pay. And unfortunately, one of the reasons why people are not paying taxes right now is that they not only do not believe that their taxes will be wisely or judicially used, but more importantly, because they have seen the wastage and the corruption that is in the system. Of course, there is also no penalties for tax evasion, as we have seen mostly by those who are the wealthy of this nation. So the four things that we're going to do to be able to ensure that we create value and that increases the amount of income that people are able to get, and of course the tax system, is to say, number one, we must reduce the cost of governance and completely eradicate the wastage in governance, which means starting from the presidency. There is no reason why the president's convoy should be a 30-car convoy just to go and drop the president at the airport.
So you're not going to have a 30-car convoy?
I will be riding in a bus that will carry other ministers, rather than have every minister's car trail after the president.
That would be a first. That would be a first.
Secondly, we must reform our institutions, especially our civil service institutions, to ensure that they are delivering excellence in service. Meaning that every civil service institution will deliver service. We must then boost the economy such that we can grow jobs and grow the earnings of our people. When jobs are created and when businesses are booming, then there will be more taxes, and then our tax to GDP ratio will continue to grow. And then the last of all is that we must reorient our people and get them to understand that paying taxes is not just an obligation, but it is the way for them to create a sustainable way for their children to be able to have a better nation than the one they live in.